What happens when a hardened Oregon Trail guide discovers that his mail-order bride is the daughter of the man who destroyed his family years ago? Can love bloom between two people whose families were sworn enemies? Or will the sins of the fathers destroy the children's chance at happiness? This is a tale of vengeance transformed into forgiveness, where the Oregon Trail becomes a path not just across the country, but from hatred to healing. Hit that like button and subscribe for this powerful story of redemption. Trail Guide's mail-order bride is his enemy's daughter, seeking revenge but finds love. Instead, the letter should have been a warning. But Matthew Cross was too tired and too lonely to see the signs. After 15 years guiding wagon trains along the Oregon Trail, he'd finally settled down at Willow Creek Station, a crucial stop where the trail split toward Oregon or California. At 41, his body bore the scars of countless journeys. Sun-weathered skin, a limp from an Indian arrow, hands roughened by reins and ropes. The station was successful but isolated. 30 miles from the nearest town, it was just Matt, his Shoshone partner, Sam Whitehawk, and whoever was passing through. The loneliness had become unbearable, especially during the long winters when the trail was empty. The advertisement had been simple. Trail station owner seeks wife, must be strong, capable, unafraid of isolation, knowledge of medicine helpful, good life for the right woman. He'd received several responses, but one stood out. Rebecca Morrison from St. Louis, 26 years old. Her father recently deceased, leaving her alone. She had nursing experience from the war, could read and write, knew how to run a household. Her photograph showed a pretty woman with dark hair and serious eyes. Her letters had been warm but practical, asking about the station, the climate, the work involved. She seemed perfect. Someone who understood that frontier marriage was partnership first romance, second if at all. Now she was arriving on the eastbound stage from California, having traveled the southern route to avoid the mountain passes. Matt stood waiting, his best shirt clean, but worn, his boots polished but scuffed. Sam watched from the station porch with his usual knowing smile. "Nervous, brother?" Sam asked in his mix of English and Shoshone. "No reason to be," Matt replied, though his hands were sweating. "A man who hasn't seen a woman in months has every reason to be nervous." The stage appeared through the dust and Matt's heart began to pound, not from excitement, but from a sudden, inexplicable dread. Something felt wrong, though he couldn't say what. The stage pulled up and the driver called out, "Willow Creek Station, 30-minute stop." Passengers began disembarking. A merchant and his wife, two cowboys, and then her. Rebecca Morrison stepped down and Matt's blood turned to ice. She looked exactly like her mother. The same dark hair, the same proud bearing, the same eyes that had watched while Richard Morrison destroyed everything Matt had ever loved. Morrison. The name he'd somehow overlooked in his loneliness, or perhaps deliberately forgotten in his desperate need for companionship. Rebecca Morrison, daughter of Richard Morrison, the man who'd stolen Matt's family's ranch through forged documents and legal trickery. The man who'd driven Matt's father to suicide and his mother to an early grave. Rebecca's eyes found his, and he saw the moment of recognition. Not of him, but of the situation. She knew who he was, had known all along. "Mr. Cross," she said, her voice steady despite the tension crackling between them. "Miss Morrison." The name tasted like ashes in his mouth. Sam, sensing trouble, moved closer. The other passengers headed into the station for food, leaving them alone in the dusty yard. "You knew," Matt said. "It wasn't a question." "I knew." "Then why?" Rebecca lifted her chin, a gesture so like her father's it made Matt's fists clench. "Because I wanted to see the man my father destroyed. Wanted to understand what kind of person could make him hate so much. Your father didn't need reasons to hate. He just needed things to take." "He's dead," Rebecca said flatly. 6 months ago. Heart failure. He died calling your name." The news should have brought satisfaction. Instead, Matt felt only emptiness. His enemy was gone, and the revenge he'd dreamed of for 20 years was impossible now. "So you came here to what gloat finish what he started?" "I came here because I had nowhere else to go." Her composure cracked slightly. Everything he built was on lies and stolen goods. When he died, it all collapsed. Creditors, lawsuits, people he'd cheated coming for their due. "I lost everything." "Justice, then?" "Is it I was 6 years old when he took your ranch. I had no part in it, but I've paid for it anyway." She picked up her single carpet bag. "I answered your advertisement honestly. I am alone, I am capable, and I need this position. But if you want me to leave, I'll wait for the next stage. Matt stood frozen, torn between old hatred and unexpected confusion. This woman was Richard Morrison's daughter, blood of his blood. But she was also just a woman alone and desperate, seeking exactly what he'd advertised for, a chance at a new life. The next stage isn't for 3 days, he said finally. Then I'll wait. In the desert with no money for food or shelter. I'll manage. Sam stepped forward. Perhaps the lady could rest inside while you think, Matt. The sun is harsh and she's traveled far. Matt nodded curtly. They walked to the station in silence, Rebecca's back straight despite her obvious exhaustion. Inside, the main room served multiple purposes. Trading post, dining area, gathering place. It was clean but basic, purely functional. Your room would be upstairs, Matt heard himself say. If you stayed. Rebecca set down her bag. May I ask you something? What? Why didn't you recognize the name Morrison isn't that common? Matt poured water from a pitcher, offering her a glass. Maybe I did somewhere deep down. Maybe I was just so lonely I ignored it. Or maybe I wanted to believe there was more than one Morrison family in St. Louis. There was only ever one. My father made sure of that. She drank deeply. He destroyed his own brothers when they stood in his way. Then why carry his name? Why come here using it? Because I won't hide who I am. I'm Rebecca Morrison, daughter of a thief and a liar. But I'm not him. She met his eyes directly. I spent years trying to make amends for his crimes. I used my nursing skills in charity hospitals. I taught poor children to read. I gave away everything I could. But it was never enough. People still saw him when they looked at me. And you think it'll be different here? No, I think it'll be worse. But at least here it'll be honest. You hate me for real reasons, not whispered rumors. Before Matt could respond, the stage driver called for passengers. The merchant couple emerged from the kitchen where Sam's wife Mary had served them stew. The cowboys stretched and headed out. You coming, miss? The driver asked Rebecca. She looked at Matt, waiting. He thought of 20 years of hatred, of his father's body swinging in the barn, of his mother's tears as they were forced from their home. Then he thought of the empty nights, the silent winters, the ache of loneliness that had driven him to place that advertisement. She's staying, he said, surprising himself. She's my intended bride. The driver shrugged and climbed aboard. As the stage rolled away, Matt wondered what he'd just done. Why? Rebecca asked. I don't know. Maybe because hating your father didn't bring mine back. Maybe because I'm tired of being alone. Or maybe because I want to see if a Morrison is capable of being anything other than poison. That's cruel. It's honest. You want honesty, don't you? Yes. Then here it is. I don't trust you. I don't like you. And part of me wants you to suffer like my family suffered. But I need help running this station, and you need a place to live. We can try to make this work as business, nothing more. And if it doesn't work, then you leave on the next stage and we never speak of it again. Rebecca nodded. Show me what needs to be done. The next hours were awkward but productive. Matt showed her the station, the kitchen where meals were prepared for travelers, the trading post section, the account books that needed keeping. Rebecca asked intelligent questions, made practical suggestions, and began organizing the chaos that bachelor living had created. Mary Whitehawk, Sam's Shoshone wife, watched it all with dark, knowing eyes. When the men went to tend horses, she cornered Rebecca in the kitchen. You bring trouble, Mary said bluntly. I bring history. Whether that becomes trouble depends on what we do with it. Matt is a good man, broken by loss, but good. You hurt him, I hurt you. Understood. Mary studied her. You have your father's look, but not his eyes. His were empty. Yours are full of pain. His pain mostly, the pain he caused others that somehow became mine to carry. Pain shared can become pain halved, or pain doubled. Choose carefully. That night, Rebecca took the upstairs room while Matt slept in his usual spot, a lean-to attached to the main building. But sleep eluded him. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Richard Morrison's face, heard his laugh as he'd taken everything. A sound from outside made him reach for his rifle. Footsteps careful, but not stealthy. He slipped outside to find Rebecca sitting on the porch, wrapped in a shawl, staring at the stars. Couldn't sleep either, she asked without turning. Hard to sleep with a Morrison under my roof. Then why let me stay? Matt sat down, keeping distance between them. My mother used to say that hate was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I've been drinking that poison for 20 years. Maybe it's time to try something else. Like what? I don't know, indifference maybe. You could never be indifferent to me. I look too much like him. It was true. In the moonlight, the resemblance was less pronounced, but it was there in the set of her jaw, the arch of her eyebrows. Tell me about him, Matt said suddenly. The man I hated. Who was he when he wasn't destroying lives? Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. Cold, calculating. He married my mother for her family connections, discarded her when she'd served her purpose. She died when I was 8. Of sadness, I think, though the doctor called it consumption. And you, I was a possession, a tool to be shaped and eventually traded for advantage. He taught me to run a household so I'd be a valuable wife. Taught me accounting so I could help whatever husband he chose manage their money. But he never taught me to be happy. Did he ever mention my family? Once. He was dying delirious with fever. He kept saying, "Cross," over and over. Then he grabbed my hand and said, "I should have killed him too. Should have finished it." She turned to look at Matt. That's when I knew I had to find you. Why, Batson? Because a man who haunts his enemies' dying thoughts must be worth knowing. The first week was a careful dance of avoidance and necessity. Rebecca threw herself into work with an intensity that surprised Matt. She reorganized the kitchen, establishing a system that cut meal preparation time in half. She reconciled account books that hadn't been properly balanced in months, finding errors in Matt's favor that recovered nearly $50. But it was with the travelers that she truly shone. A Warren family heading to Oregon stopped for supplies, the mother sick with fever. Rebecca took charge, nursing the woman with skill and compassion, refusing payment despite the family's insistence. Why, boy? Matt asked after they had gone. Because they needed help. Isn't that reason enough? Your father would have charged them double seeing their desperation. I'm not my father. Her voice was sharp. How many times must I say it? Until I believe it. But he was starting to believe despite himself. He watched her tend to injured travelers, mediate disputes between quarreling pioneers, calm frightened children during storm delays. She had a gift for seeing what people needed and providing it, whether comfort, practical help, or simply a listening ear. Sam noticed the change too. She's good for business, he observed one evening as Rebecca charmed a difficult customer into buying supplies they hadn't known they needed. She's a Morrison, Matt replied automatically. She's a woman making the best of hard circumstances. Like Mary when I found her cast out by her tribe for loving a white man. Sam's usual humor was absent. You judge her for blood she didn't choose. That's white man thinking, Matt. We Shoshone judge by actions. Her actions are calculated. Everything she does is designed to make me trust her. Or maybe she's just trying to survive, like all of us. That night, a violent storm struck. Rain pounded the roof and lightning split the sky. Matt was checking the horses when he heard screaming from the station. He ran back to find Rebecca dealing with a crisis. A pregnant woman had arrived with her husband, labor starting early, complicated by the storm's terror. I need hot water, clean cloths, and your steadiest hands. Rebecca commanded, her earlier deference vanishing in the face of medical emergency. For the next 6 hours, Matt assisted as Rebecca fought to save both mother and child. She was magnificent, calm, skilled, decisive. When the baby finally arrived, blue and still, she breathed life into its tiny lungs while instructing Matt to tend the hemorrhaging mother. Dawn broke with mother and child alive, exhausted but stable. The father wept with gratitude, pressing money into Rebecca's hands that she gently refused. You saved them, Matt said as they cleaned up, both splattered with blood and exhausted. We saved them. I couldn't have done it alone. Their eyes met and something shifted. Not forgiveness, not yet, but recognition. They had worked together, trusted each other in crisis. It was a start. Thank you, the mother whispered to Rebecca later. You're an angel. No, Rebecca replied, glancing at Matt. I'm just someone trying to earn redemption. As the family rested, Matt found himself really looking at Rebecca for the first time. Not as Richard Morrison's daughter, but as herself. She was beautiful, he realized, but it was a beauty marked by sadness. Her hands, he noticed, bore old scars, not from labor, but what looked like burns. Your hands, he said impulsively. She glanced down, then pulled her sleeves lower. My father's lessons in obedience. Hot poker when I disappointed him. The casual admission of abuse stunned Matt. He tortured you. He educated me, he'd say. Pain was just another teaching tool. She met his eyes. You weren't his only victim, Mr. Cross. You were just the only one who escaped. That afternoon, while Rebecca slept off the exhaustion of the night's ordeal, Matt sat with Sam on the porch. I'm starting to see her, Matt admitted. Not him, her. Good. Hate makes a man blind. But how do I forget what her father did? You don't. You remember it, honor your parents' memory, but don't let it control your future. Sam packed his pipe thoughtfully. My grandfather's tribe was massacred by Crow warriors. Should I hate every Crow forever? Or should I judge each person as they are? It's not the same. Isn't it blood feuds or blood feuds, whether between families or tribes? A week later, trouble arrived in the form of Jack Morrison, Rebecca's cousin. He rode in with 3 men, all armed, all bearing the Morrison swagger Matt remembered too well. Cousin Rebecca, Jack said with false warmth, imagine finding you here of all places. Rebecca emerged from the station, her face pale but composed. Jack, what do you want? What's mine? Uncle Richard left some interesting documents when he died, including ones about the Cross Ranch deal. Jack's smile was predatory. Seems there's still value to be extracted from that property. Matt stepped forward, hand on his gun. That land was stolen. Your uncle made a legal transaction. Have the papers to prove it. Jack pulled out a leather portfolio. But I'm willing to make a deal. Rebecca comes with me, marries my business partner Thompson, and I forget about pursuing the remaining claims. I'm not property to be traded, Rebecca said coldly. Aren't you unmarried, penniless, living on charity? Come now, cousin. Thompson's rich, respectable. It's a good match. I'm engaged to Mr. Cross. The words hung in the air. Matt knew he should deny it, but found himself stepping beside her instead. That's right. We're to be married next month. Jack laughed. You marry a Cross, Uncle Richard must be spinning in his grave. Good, Rebecca said flatly. He spun my life enough while living. Jack's humor vanished. You always were ungrateful. Uncle gave you everything. Uncle gave me scars. She pulled up her sleeves, showing the burn marks. This was for spilling wine at dinner. She pointed to another. This for speaking without permission. Should I show you the ones on my back from his riding crop? Even Jack's men looked uncomfortable, but Jack himself just shrugged. Discipline makes character. Regardless, you're coming with me. No, she's not. Matt moved in front of Rebecca. She's under my protection now. Your protection? You couldn't protect your own family. The words were calculated to provoke, and they worked. Matt's fist connected with Jack's jaw, sending him sprawling. His men reached for guns, but Sam and Mary appeared both armed. 4 against 4, Sam said pleasantly. Fair odds. Jack got up, wiping blood from his mouth. This isn't over. That land, those documents? They're worth a fortune now that the railroad's coming through. Railroad. Matt's blood chilled. His family's land was directly in the proposed route. That's why Richard Morrison had wanted it so badly. Oh yes, worth 10 times what Uncle paid. Well, what he was supposed to pay before your father's unfortunate accident. Jack's smile was vicious. All that suffering for nothing, Cross. The land's going to make Morrison's rich regardless. He mounted his horse. Think about it, Rebecca. Come with me willingly, or I'll take other measures. You know what Morrisons do to obstacles. After they left, Rebecca sank into a chair. I'm sorry, I've brought more trouble to your door. The railroad, Matt said numbly. He knew. Your father knew it was coming. Probably. He always knew things before others. My family died for a railroad scheme. Yes. The simple admission without excuse or justification somehow helped. Matt sat across from her. Jack won't give up, Rebecca said. He's like my father, relentless when he wants something. What does he want? The documents my father kept, proof of his various schemes, but also leverage over powerful people. I have them. Matt stared. You have them. Hidden. I took them when I left St. Louis. I thought I thought maybe I could return them to the people he had wronged, make some small amends. She looked at him, including the real documents from your family's land sale, proving the forgery. You have proof my father was cheated. Yes. Why didn't you say so earlier? Would you have believed me, or would you have thought it was another Morrison trick? She was right. He would have assumed the worst. Show me, he said. Rebecca led him to her room where she pulled up a floorboard. Inside was an oilcloth package. She unwrapped it carefully, revealing dozens of documents. Here, she said, pulling out several papers. The original sale agreement with your father's real signature. And here the forged version my father filed. See the differences. Matt's hands shook as he held the proof he'd searched for 20 years. This could clear my family's name. It could, but it would also bring every corrupt official my father dealt with down on our heads. They'll do anything to keep these secret. Our heads, Rebecca flushed. Your head. I meant your head. But the slip revealed her thinking. She was already seeing them as united facing threats together. And surprisingly, Matt found he was too. That night, Matt made a decision that would have seemed impossible a month ago. He sat with Rebecca by the fire, the box of documents between them. We burned them, he said. Rebecca looked shocked. But they're proof of what he did to you. They're also a death sentence for anyone who has them. Jack wants them, others will too. As long as they exist, you'll never be safe. Neither will you if we're truly engaged. About that, I know it was just to protect me. I don't expect... Maybe it wasn't. The word surprised him as much as her. Maybe I'm tired of letting hatred define my life. Maybe I want to try something different. Like marrying your enemy's daughter. Like marrying a woman who's proven herself to be nothing like her father. Who saves lives instead of destroying them. Who faces her past honestly instead of running from it. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. Matt, I'm not saying I love you. I don't know if I can ever fully trust a Morrison. But I respect you. And that's more than I expected. It's more than I deserve. No, it's exactly what you deserve. You're not responsible for your father's crimes, Rebecca. I see that now. They burned the documents together, watching 20 years of evidence turn to ash. As the last paper crumbled, Matt felt something lift from his chest. Not forgiveness exactly, but release. What about Jack? Rebecca asked. Let him come. Without the documents, he's just another bully making threats. But Jack was more than that. He returned a week later with a judge and a sheriff from St. Louis, claiming Rebecca had stolen valuable property from the Morrison estate. These documents, the judge said. Where are they? Burned, Matt said simply. You destroyed evidence. I destroyed poison, papers that would have hurt innocent people. The judge, clearly in Jack's pocket, was about to order Rebecca's arrest when unexpected help arrived. A cavalry unit appeared led by Colonel Harrison, whom Matt had guided through the territories years earlier. Problem here, Matt, the colonel asked. These men are trying to take my fiancée on false charges. The colonel dismounted, studying the judge's papers. Interesting. This warrant is dated 3 weeks ago, but the seal is fresh. Forged, I'd say. The judge blustered, but faced with federal troops, he and Jack had no choice but to retreat. This isn't over, Jack shouted as he left. Yes, it is, Rebecca called back. The Morrison line of theft and lies ends with me. I choose a different path. After the confrontation, Rebecca was quiet. That evening, Matt found her packing her bag. You're leaving. Jack won't stop. As long as I'm here, you're in danger. I've been in danger before. Not because of me, not for me. Matt crossed the room, taking the bag from her hands. Rebecca, I've spent 20 years alone, hating your family, planning revenge that would never come. Then you arrived, and everything changed. Yes, I brought chaos to your ordered life. You brought life to my dead existence. I was surviving, not living. Going through motions, serving travelers, making money, but for what? For no one. Matt, let me finish. I don't care that you're a Morrison. I care that you're Rebecca. The woman who saves strangers' babies, who faces down her cousin, who carried those documents not for gain, but to make amends. He took her hands, feeling the scars beneath his fingers. The woman who suffered under the same man who destroyed my family, but chose to become his opposite. I'll always be his daughter. And I'll always be the son of the man he destroyed. But maybe that's fitting. Maybe we're the only two people who can understand each other's pain. Rebecca looked up at him. Is that enough for marriage understanding pain? It's a start, but there's more. Matt struggled with words he'd never thought to say. You're brave, intelligent, compassionate. You make this station feel like a home instead of just a waypoint. And when you smile, which isn't often enough, the whole room lights up. Are you saying you love me? I'm saying I could, given time, given a chance, despite everything, because of everything. We've both been shaped by the same tragedy, just from different sides. Maybe together we can reshape ourselves into something better. Rebecca was crying now. I came here planning to face your hatred, to endure it as punishment for my father's sins. I never expected kindness. Never expected this. Neither did I. But here we are. Here we are, she agreed. They were married 2 weeks later, with Sam and Mary as witnesses, and Colonel Harrison, who'd extended his stay, giving Rebecca away. It was simple, honest, and surprisingly joyful. As they exchanged vows, Matt thought he saw a shadow at the window. His mother's spirit perhaps giving her blessing to this unexpected union. Or maybe it was just the wind moving the curtains. Either way, he felt peace. That night, as they lay together for the first time as husband and wife, Rebecca traced the scars on Matt's chest, souvenirs from his trail guiding days. We're both marked, she said softly, but not broken. No, not broken. Bent maybe, but still standing. Together. Together. Jack made one last attempt, arriving with hired guns to take Rebecca by force. But he hadn't counted on the loyalty Matt had earned over 15 years on the trail. Word had spread, and when Jack arrived, he found not just Matt and Sam, but a dozen former trail companions, all armed, all ready to defend one of their own. You'd fight for a Morrison, Jack asked incredulously. We'd fight for Matt's wife, old Pete, a grizzled mountain man replied. Don't matter what her name was, matters what it is now. Faced with impossible odds, Jack retreated for good. They later heard he'd been killed in a card game in San Francisco, dying as he'd lived, cheating and being caught. 5 years passed. The station prospered, becoming famous along the trail as a place of good food, fair prices, and honest dealing. Rebecca's medical skills saved countless lives, earning her the nickname Angel of Willow Creek. They had 2 children, a boy named David after Matt's father, and a girl named Hope for what she represented. The children grew up knowing their history, the good and bad, but not defined by it. One autumn evening, as they watched a wagon train disappear into the sunset, Rebecca leaned against Matt's shoulder. Do you ever think about how strange it is, she asked. That hatred brought us together. Not hatred, justice maybe. Balance, your father took my family but gave me you. That's a dark way to see it. Or a hopeful one. Even the worst acts can lead to unexpected grace. Is that what we are, unexpected grace? We're proof that the past doesn't have to dictate the future. That enemies can become lovers. That the children don't have to carry the parents' sins. Rebecca smiled, the expression that still made Matt's heart skip after 5 years. We're a miracle then. We're a choice, Matt corrected. Every day we choose to be better than what shaped us. Choose love over hate, forgiveness over revenge. And if our children ask about their grandfather, the one who destroyed your family, we tell them the truth, that he was a flawed man who did terrible things, but also that his daughter chose to be different, chose to heal what he broke. Matt pulled her closer. We tell them that redemption is possible even for a Morrison, even for a cross-seeking revenge, especially for that, because the best revenge against a man like Richard Morrison isn't destroying his family. It's loving them. It's taking what he twisted and making it straight. As night fell over Willow Creek Station, Matt and Rebecca Cross stood together, living proof that even the deepest wounds can heal, that even the most unlikely love can flourish, and that sometimes the end of one trail is just the beginning of another. Years later, their son David would become a federal judge, famous for his fair treatment of all who came before him. Their daughter Hope would become a doctor, carrying on her mother's healing work. And the story of the trail guide and his enemy's daughter would become a legend along the Oregon Trail. A tale told around campfires about how love conquered hate, how forgiveness defeated revenge, and how 2 people marked by the same tragedy found salvation in each other's arms. The station still stands today, converted to a museum. In the main room hangs a portrait of Matt and Rebecca on their 20th anniversary, surrounded by children and grandchildren. Beneath it, a plaque reads, Matthew and Rebecca Cross. They proved that we are not doomed to repeat our father's mistakes. Love is always stronger than hate if we're brave enough to choose it. And in the guest book, visitors often write the same thing: if they could forgive, so can we.